Ever feel like you're just drowning in data?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, today we are tossing you a life preserver.
Okay.
SQLite's MIN and max functions.
Ah.
These little gems are about to become your secret weapons to making sense of massive spreadsheets and databases.
Yeah. These functions, they're all about efficiency.
Right.
It's like having a superpower
Okay.
that lets you summarize like huge amounts of data with just one single line of code.
Wow.
And trust me, that is a game changer, especially when you're facing down a mountain of information.
Totally, totally. And we've got 2 great articles from plus2net.com that unpack these functions
Okay.
using PHP and SQLite.
Mm-hmm.
And don't worry, you don't need to be a coding guru to follow along.
Yeah,
The beauty is these concepts are universal no matter what language or database you're working with.
absolutely. And, whether you're trying to find the highest score on like an exam, the lowest price on a flight, maybe even the most popular video on a website, chances are MIN and Max are working behind the scenes to give you those answers.
I like it. I like it. Okay, so let's picture a massive spreadsheet with like tons of student records. We've got their IDs, their names, their classes, and of course, they're all important marks, right?
Right.
Our articles use PHP to connect to a SQLite database called mystudent.sqlite3,
Okay.
where all this data lives.
So think of that PHP code like our backstage pass.
Okay.
It's allowing us to actually communicate with the database and like ask it questions.
I like that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the language databases speak is SQL. Now, when we use the max function in SQL, we're essentially saying, hey, database, show me the highest mark in this mark column.
Mm-hmm.
It's surprisingly straightforward.
It is, and with impressive speed, the database delivers the answer. Highest mark, 96.
Okay.
Elegant in its simplicity,
I like it.
but it gets way more interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
How does it get more interesting?
Okay, so instead of just giving us that solitary number, that 96, we can take it a step further and actually find the entire row of data
Okay.
for the student who got that impressive mark.
Okay.
It's like the difference between knowing the highest temperature ever recorded
Right.
and knowing it happened on this date in this city.
Okay.
That context is everything.
Now that you put it that way, it is a lot more interesting. We're not just getting a number, we're getting a whole story.
Exactly.
So instead of just knowing, like, the highest sale was for, say, $1,000,
Right.
we can see exactly what product brought in those big bucks.
Yes.
That's incredibly valuable.
Precisely. And it gets even better. Imagine being able to group those results by class.
Okay.
So instead of just seeing the highest mark overall,
Right.
we can see the highest mark within each class.
Okay.
We're talking next level analysis here.
Next level.
Right.
Now we can start comparing different groups.
Yes.
Spotting trends, maybe even uncovering some hidden patterns.
Yeah.
This is like having X-ray vision into our data.
Exactly. We can start asking questions like, is there a big difference in the top marks between different classes? Or are there any outliers? Any students that are really like excelling or struggling?
Okay, I'm starting to see the possibilities here, but let's shift gears for a second and talk about MIN.
Okay.
We've seen how Max helps us find the top performers, the highest values.
Right.
But what about its counterpart? What about MIN?
So MIN is like the other side of the coin, right?
Okay.
It helps us uncover the lowest value in a data set.
Okay.
Remember our student example?
Yes.
MIN would zero in on the lowest mark, which we know is 18.
Right.
And then it would like dig up all the details about the student who received that mark.
So if Max helps us celebrate the overachievers,
Right.
MIN helps us identify areas where we might need to, like, lend a helping hand.
Precisely.
Okay.
Think about analyzing customer satisfaction scores. MIN would instantly spotlight any scores that are particularly low,
Right.
giving you a chance to like investigate those cases further and address any problems.
Okay.
Or imagine you're managing inventory for a store.
Mm-hmm.
MIN could quickly pinpoint those products that are just not moving,
Right.
making sure you're not like overstocked on those.
You know, it's funny because I used to think of data analysis as this, like, big, intimidating task.
Right.
But you're making it sound almost like fun.
It is fun.
Right.
Data analysis is about asking interesting questions
Okay.
and uncovering hidden stories.
Mm-hmm.
And with tools like MIN and Max, it's like being handed a treasure map.
Okay, I'm sold. MIN and Max are officially my new secret weapons for unlocking the mysteries of data.
Yes.
But I have a feeling this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, yeah.
What other tools are hiding in our SQLite arsenal?
Oh, there are plenty more treasures where those came from. SQLite has a whole collection of aggregate functions just waiting to be explored.
Uh-oh.
For instance, we haven't even touched on AVG.
Okay.
which, as you might guess, calculates averages.
So you could use AVG to find the average mark in a class.
Yes.
Or the average price of a product, or, well, pretty much any time we need a quick snapshot of the average value.
Exactly.
I'm starting to think these functions are like having superpowers.
They are.
Right.
And just like superpowers, they become even more potent when you combine them.
Okay, how so?
So, for example, we could combine AVG with count, which tallies up the number of entries in a set of data.
Okay, so if we were looking at our student data again, we could use count to figure out how many students are in each class.
Yes.
And then use AVG to compare the average marks between those classes.
Exactly.
It's like putting together a puzzle.
Yes.
One piece of data at a time.
And the more you work with these functions,
Right.
the more you start to see the connections, the patterns,
Right.
and the insights that were hidden within the data all along.
It's amazing how much we've uncovered just by, like, scratching the surface of these SQLite functions.
It's true.
It feels like we've gone from, like, spelunking in a dark cave to suddenly discovering this whole network of interconnected caverns, each one filled with its own, like, fascinating formations.
Yeah, and there's always more to discover.
Right.
But that sense of exploration, right, of unearthing these hidden patterns and these insights, like that's the true magic of data analysis.
It is. It is. I'm already feeling more equipped to tackle my next spreadsheet monster.
Yes.
But before we wrap up, I'm curious, what's the one big takeaway you hope our listeners, like, walk away with today?
That's easy. Don't be afraid to dive in and get your hands dirty with data. Too often we see those spreadsheets and databases as like these intimidating obstacles. But the truth is, they're treasure troves just waiting to be unlocked.
You've definitely inspired me to look at data in a whole new light.
Good.
So to our listeners, if you find yourself, staring down a spreadsheet monster.
Yes.
Remember those secret weapons that we talked about? MIN, Max, AVG, County.
Right.
They're there to help you unlock those treasures within.
And remember, there's a whole community of data enthusiasts out there, eager to share their knowledge and discoveries.
Yeah.
So keep exploring, keep experimenting, and most importantly, keep asking the, what if questions.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. And on that note, we will bid you farewell. Until next time, happy analyzing.